Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you being here to take the time to spend with us to go over some priorities that we've been working on this year and get some feedback from the community. But before I get into it, I'd like to start off with a treaty reading for Treaty 7. Constable Vanderplug.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police acknowledges Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis and Inuit, whose footsteps have marked these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We recognize the land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on or are visiting.
Thank you, Tim. I'd like to acknowledge the members that are with me today. From district, we have Superintendent Gord Sage. We have Staff Sergeant Kevin Charles, Public Service Employee Tracy Trenum, and Will and Deb from Nehill County to help out tonight. The main goal for this is to obviously have question and answers, but before we get into that, I'd like to discuss some of the priorities that we've been working on since April 1st. One of the number one categories that we worked on this year is rural crime. Rural crime is an initiative for us, for the RCMP in general, for a very long time. Three Hills, we have engaged in a number of crime reduction projects. We work with the crime reduction unit at a Southern Alberta district. We use bait items for some of the investigations that we use, as we just did a media release this week on a story that we used a bait item on that we had success in, that somebody had stole, and charges were laid. We have our own crime reduction projects that we do on a regular basis, and so far we've been pretty successful with those, and always working with crime analysts at a Southern Alberta district as well. They provide obviously really important feedback for us. We're able to use those strategies to further investigation to reduce rural crime in the areas that we police. Habitual offender management is a big thing for us as well. We do quite a bit in our community for that. We have quite a few actually offenders in our area that we police and that we are engaging with them on a regular basis. That could be curfew checks anytime throughout the day. And again, checking them on a regular basis. We engage with the crime reduction unit and analyst every 2 weeks out of district. We do that to share information with other detachments, which helps us engage in different thefts that happen in the area that could roll over into our areas that we police. We do this bi-weekly just to share that information to help us further investigations that we're working on. Media releases, I'm big on that. We do quite a bit of media releases, different platforms. Nehill County is big for helping us with that. Three Hills Capital, we do quite a bit of releases through ECA Review, Town Hall, so the town of Three Hills, Elnora, Delburn, and different areas like that. We get the media releases out. Our main goal with that is sharing that success with you. You see that we're out there, we're finding these people, we're holding them accountable, and we're doing that on a regular basis. One big thing that we did do this year is we created a rural crime position for Three Hills Detachment. It wasn't an additional position received for us. We modified one of our current positions, and that has made some huge progress for us as we have that member focusing on rural crime initiatives. The other members focus on regular day-to-day general duty investigations, but the rural crime member, he'll focus on strictly rural crime. He's working with lease sites, different areas. A lot of times we're getting feedback that the people in the community are engaged, that they're able to reach out to one member who's focusing on rural crime rather than talking to multiple different members. So we definitely see a lot of success in that. The rural crime member, some of his duties, he'll liaison with the crime reduction units. So he's talking to them all the time, other detachments, sharing information, setting up projects for our detachment. He's engaged with external resources like Alert to do surveillance for us in certain key areas, as well as the crime reduction unit team. We also have access to Special I for special investigations, Special O for special operations, and we're able to bring in all these resources into our communities that we police. And we do this on a regular basis. Again, with our goal to reduce that rural crime, because we want your communities to be safe. And our end goal is that you have a safe community, and we're out there policing that. One of the priorities we did this month is we changed up our schedules a little bit, and we noticed that we were working to the early mornings, and we did notice that we were finding people that were out in the remote areas, i.e. these lay sites, and when they weren't supposed to be there. So we were out doing that, putting extra efforts into that, and we're finding some of our offenders, our regulars that we're finding out in those areas, and we're trying to do what we can with that to reduce that rural crime. So we've changed it up a little bit for us. So we find that we're going in a really good direction when it comes to rural crime. We're very, very happy with that. Again, we're looking for input tonight as well on areas I think that maybe we can improve on. Maybe there's certain needs, wants, or expectations that a community could want us to engage in. And of course, we're always open to that. Presence in the rural communities is another priority that we are focusing on. And I've received a lot of feedback on committees that I sit on that the increase in police has increased dramatically in our areas. When I first got here in September of last year, I met with each council, and one of the ones that did concern me was Elnora. And Elnora felt that they lost touch with the police, that we weren't a part of their community anymore. So I made that a priority. I made Elnora a priority, that we would be engaged in community events, we would be engaged in rural patrols, we'd be engaged in their community. I can tell you, in the committees that I've been on since my arrival, I've received an overwhelming amount of positive comments about the Three Hills members being in the communities more. They're seeing them more, and I'm a big believer in visibility is accountability, and if you're seeing us, then they're out there doing their job. So that's one relationship that we were able to fix through that, the presence just being in that area. Same with Delburn. I've got a lot of feedback in Delburn that they're seeing police more. And one of the comments from Marilyn, I don't know if Marilyn's on tonight, she's a counselor in Three Hills. I sit on a quarterly police advisory committee, and one of the very positive comments I got from her is that it's the safest she felt in 25 years. She told me a story that 25 years ago, she was a young mom, and she had asked the local detachment commander and members if they could drive by. Sorry, her husband had asked that, where she was a young mom and she was a bit nervous to be home alone where her husband worked away. So I felt it was a very, very overwhelming, very positive compliment to get from her, that she has never felt so safe in that period of time. Again, credit to the Three Hills Detachment members. They're the ones that are out there making those patrols and caring about your community, and I know they do. To go back into the modifying the shifts to do these rural patrols, I asked once, and across the board, everybody was hands up. Let's do this. Let's modify this. Let's make it work. Not one complaint. Everybody was on board to do this, and we all pitched in. We all did what we had to do, and we're continuing to do that. So a lot of success there, and again, towards the members. Presence that we did increase in the rural communities. We did some bike patrols for the high school grads. We did feel bad for the students. They don't have the regular grad that they did years ago. So we helped out with the parades. We helped out with some bike patrols. Community events, we attended quite a bit. We went to Canada Day, I believe in Delburn, Elnora. Some communities didn't host Canada Day. We went to Discovery Night in Three Hills. Anything that we get that's coming up, we're trying to engage in that. Obviously with COVID-19, that's hindered us a little bit when it comes to that community engagement side of things. But we're trying to take measures that we can engage more, obviously, safely with our communities. We are doing for October, we're doing a pumpkin carving contest with our communities. That went online today. So we're doing a lot of different things when it comes to the social media side. We're posting more, we're sharing stories more. And one of the comments that I absolutely love that I do get is I always get stopped on the street somewhere by somebody that they love my calls for service log in the paper. Usually you'll see that once a month. I know sometimes it gets backlogged. I know Tim had some personal issues there that he was dealing with. But I cannot express the overwhelming comments I get from the community when it comes to the call for service log in our local newspaper. They feel that we're engaged with them. They feel that they're hearing these stories that we're doing, rather than not hearing anything about the police, not sure in what we're doing. So we've received a lot of positive comments when it comes to that. School visits, we're still cautious when it comes to school visits. The schools do have quite the security in place for people just coming into the school, but we do go in from time to time, or in the school patrols in the early mornings or throughout the day. So we are still engaged with the school, but obviously it's limited because COVID-19 and just going into the schools, we don't want to cause any complications that way. Another priority that came up was road safety. In road safety, what we've noticed since April 1 till to date is we've noticed an increase in impaired driving. Impaired driving apprehension has definitely gone up in our area, and we've educated the public. We've done media releases. We've done ads in the newspaper with the changes from criminal to provincial. But we still see an increase in impaired driving. The members are out there doing check stops. The members are out there engaged in those events that are taking place since the rules relaxed a little bit prior to COVID-19, and they're noticing that there's seems to be an increase in impaired driving, which is a concern for us. So obviously we take that seriously, and we're apprehending more and more. Same thing when it comes to apprehension of offenders. We are on the road more. We are doing more traffic stops, and in return, we are apprehending traveling criminals on our highways. We've seen a really big increase when it comes to the apprehension of criminals coming through our area. That it does take up a fair bit of our time. Weekly, we have people in our custody, and more and more we seem to be apprehending them just through traffic stops. The next priority I'm going to get into is active staff reports updates. So quarterly, I do engage with your elected officials, and I do provide them with an update quarterly of the stats for Three Hills RCMP, the type of policing that we're doing. So I engage with them quarterly. They get a full printout of the stats, the areas that we have increase in crime, what we're doing, what kind of calls for service we're getting, and they get a full breakdown. Council and community meetings. Obviously tonight's our community meeting. Council, every March, April of every year, I do a council meeting to go over the priorities that I'm explaining to you tonight. Or if council calls me back throughout the year, then obviously I would attend that if there's any concerns that do come up. Police Advisory Committee. I have to say the Police Advisory Committee is my favorite committee. It's the first one that I've been involved in, and it's absolutely amazing. You have some amazing elected officials that sit on that board, and they are provided information on, again, the types of crime that we were doing in that area. One thing we'd like to see more of with that committee is that community engagement part. So we're looking at trying to set something up to do a little more community engagement with that committee. And that could be, like I said, when I sent this ad out, writing a letter to the Three Hills Detachment. I know the CIO in Delburn, Karen Fagan, is on that committee, and she's working up with an email address through Gmail to find ways that we can kind of utilize that connection with our communities. Emergency management stakeholder meeting is another one. That one's new for me as well. I absolutely love sitting on that one as well because we do tabletop exercises, we plan for disasters, we plan for ways to protect your communities. Overall, with those councils, again, I've received very positive comments from each committee on the visibility from the Three Hills RCMP, how engaged we are in the media, how engaged we are with the communities, and the progress that we are making to keep our communities safe. Last priority that came into play was working closer with our Knee Hill and Red Deer Protective Services. Constable Vanderplug is here tonight. I have him in charge of that, and he's done an amazing job setting those up. We've been engaged with our CPOs on a regular basis. It could be multiple different kinds of check stops when it comes to traffic enforcement and that visibility. We've also attended some community events with them to help build that relationship and make it stronger and to put us in a better working relationship. With the priorities, those are what I have for our annual performance plan. And so just bear with me here. So I did send out on the email to send if anybody that couldn't make it tonight, if they had questions to send in. I've only had 2 questions sent to the email address. The first question was from, in regards to the community. Now, I know this has come up numerous times for calls for service when it comes to youth that are speeding in our community in the town of Three Hills. I can tell you that we are working with Knee Hill County CPOs to be more engaged in those areas that are concerned that we're getting reporting on. So things are being done with that to engage in that area. And we have stopped quite a few people that were engaged in that stunting in the area. And I know one of the concerns that's mentioned on here is the one that happened happened near the Prairie Christian Academy. So we are aware of that, and again, working with our CPOs to engage in that type of behavior. So the second question that I had sent to me was a question about the school resource officer position. I do know, since my arrival here, council, people in the community, I know how much this position meant to all of you. It was a paid position, I believe, from the communities or some of the communities, and it was very well received. I have looked into the SRO program, and I am working with some counsel on this. The information that I received on this is that not for myself in general, the committee that wants to put the application forward for the school resource officer has to request this to the province. The province then would have to accept that letter to allow us to have that position back. And I know there were some funding issues as well. But again, that's a conversation that committee has to have with the province when it comes to funding. Would it be from what they're paying into the funding, or would it be additional funding? So those are answers I don't have, unless Kevin or Sir, you have anything to add to those?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to provincial funding for policing, that discussion is held with the commanding officer of the province. So when they get requests individually. I don't know exactly how or where they go to or how effective they are. I do know at the end of the year, the province will give, X amount of dollars for X amount of positions, and then it comes back to the RCMP to determine where those would go. So I periodically come into those meetings where I see where they're going, but I don't know the status of that one per se.
So with saying that, I'll just touch on some of the areas that I'm very proud that the Three Hills Detachment were involved in. We had a few missing person files over this last couple of quarters that we worked with Hill and Red Deer County, and I have to give credit to Red Deer County. Absolutely amazing search and rescue team. The equipment they have, I can call Irv or Dave, and they're ready to roll within minutes. And Deb as well for Hill County. We're able to respond to those things so quickly. The volunteers that help with that, absolutely amazing. So far, I'm very thankful that the few that we've had, we're able to locate those individuals. And again, just with an amazing response from Red Deer County, the volunteer search and rescue, Hill County with Deb and her CPOs, and of course the Three Hills members. The resource has just been phenomenal. Again, with the SAD crew, we work very, very closely with the crime analyst, to the point that he had made comments that were one of his favorite detachments. We are that engaged in world crime to make your community safe. And that's my most important thing tonight here, is to let you all know that your communities are safe. We're out there, we're doing our job. We want you to feel that comfort. We want you to feel safe. The projects we're working on, like I described before with the debate items, working with auto theft, again, having that member that's strictly focusing on rural crime has been very beneficial to us. It allows him to work one-on-one morally with these extra units to bring them in. And again, that lead to successful prosecutions to apprehend some of these prolific offenders. So we're very thankful for that. Again, just having that position as well, with our area that we do police, we have well over 200 lease sites. As you can imagine, that's very tough to be at those exact location, but it's allowing that member to engage more with those companies to help us focus on areas that we need to focus on, and help reduce that rural crime. So with that, that's what I have to present tonight. We'll leave it open now to questions. Okay.
Thanks, Jamie. That's great points, and thank you and your employees for some terrific work that you're all doing, definitely making a difference in the communities. I just wanted to make a few comments here. First of all, we are Alberta's police service. We are Albertans, proudly serving Alberta. We are your policing service, so it's very important that we get your input. We value your feedback. Our fiscal year runs April 1st to March 31st, as Jamie mentioned. We'll be starting a new annual performance plan April 1st of 2022. So come this February and March, I anticipate that Jamie will be seeking input from community elected officials, but the community at large as well. And it's your voices. It's very important that we hear your voice as far as what you feel our policing priorities should be for Three Hills Detachment. So please watch for that in the coming months, and we value your feedback. Thank you.
And I'll just add to that. I mean, with the number one priority for our commanding officer and us at district, and that filters down to the commanders, is the community engagement. You can look at policing services, look slightly different with every detachment, depends on what the community needs are. And we actively, and this is what we're doing tonight and what we always do, why it's a priority, is that we ask our commanders to reach out to communities and say, what do you want us to be doing? Of course, we do the normal policing that everyone knows about, but is there certain priorities that you feel are more important to meet the needs of your community? And that's what we do. It's the commanding officer's priority, it's our priority district, and that filters down to the commander. So As Kevin said, that engagement piece, whether it's through the Police Advisory Committee, I've been on those as well in different communities, and they work exceptionally well. We need to hear from you to know what is important. I'll just talk secondly about, there's a lot of behind the scenes policing that you receive without, other than the members you see at your detachment. So within district, there's 4 districts within the province. I'm in charge of, I'm the assistant district officer for the Southern Alberta district, which covers pretty much from Alberta, BC to Saskatchewan, right down to the US border. It's a big, about 38 detachments. So we at district have other teams at our district to assist and Jamie was talking about that, to assist the detachment. The crime reduction team has been a huge success. The last couple of years we received provincial funding, and instead of sprinkle those 8 bodies throughout the district at certain detachments, we made the decision, and it was the right decision in my opinion, to put it in this crime reduction team, because the crime reduction team now can, based on information they receive from your communities, if you see a red Dodge truck driving down a gravel road on a well site, guarantee, and if they're up to no good, guarantee they're getting another detachment the night after and after that. So we're able to put these resources to go after these. I call them like pit bulls. They're highly trained members with search warrants, surveillance, undercover techniques, and we are able to, once we gather and are able to paint the picture of what's going on out there with criminality, we can send this team, and we do send them out there to go after these people. Generally, they're prolific offenders, and they've been hugely successful. They have access to a number of different bait items to place out there, which is GPS tracked, and is very, very helpful. So this team has been phenomenally successful. So by getting 8 positions from the province, we've been able to really fine tune and go after that rural crime piece, and they've been highly successful. Another thing we recently got from the provincial government with, when we got extra positions, we put them into our general investigation sections. So we have our own 3 investigators that can deal with more of the higher end files that sometimes on detachments, some bigger files become overwhelming because you've got to focus on them 100%. You can't walk away from it and do a patrol or respond to your community. So we have this team, and that team is to come out into these communities and help out and provide, policing in addition to what's already there at no cost to the community. So, we always knew these concepts would work. We've been able to, so like when you talked about, we always get, some communities want, positions here and there, but in today's world, money doesn't come freely, and it's all based on taxpayers, but we're able to really, use the best bang for our buck with these members to really make an impact in all of Southern Alberta. So it's been quite successful. So I guess the message I want to leave you with is when you see something out there that you might think might be small in nature, it's, I myself live in a rural community, and I know when I see something, it doesn't quite fit. And you need to call your detachment so that Jamie's team can capture that information and send it over to our analysts to put the whole picture together. Your little piece of the puzzle could add to the whole big picture so that we can make an impact. So it is working. We've proven it's worked. We always knew it would work, but we need your information and intelligence. So please keep that communication open to your detachment. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for anybody.
I think we're opening up to questions now from our participants, our viewers. So if you have anything, please type in the chat box.
If you'd like to ask us a question, if you want to just maybe raise your hand, just so we know we can unmute you, and then we can hear you if there's a question you'd like to ask us. So right now we're going to open up for questions, and for us to know that, we need to see that you have a question you want to ask, or have a comment in the box there, so we can respond to your questions. Hey, Karen. Okay.
Oh, there we go. I don't have a question. I just have I got lots of feedback going on here. But I do have a comment. I would really like your bosses to know, Jamie, what a phenomenal job that you guys are doing for us. And we are super happy with the service. And Police Advisory Committee is fun. And the new committee that Jamie and I are going to work on soon, I think is going to be awesome for the community. So, and the rural crime officer has been a huge addition to our detachment and has phenomenal results. So kudos to all of you guys.
Thank you, Karen. So I do see a question in the comment box there. Bill, thank you for the comment on the debate item. Are mental health calls still keeping you busy? Yes, extremely busy. We do receive quite a few calls for service for mental health. I think just from April 1 to date, we're already looking at 40 to 50 calls for service dealing just with mental health calls. Being in Three Hills does give us a little bit of disadvantage. When we do a Form 10 apprehension, we can't transport them to the Three Hills Hospital. Or the areas that we can only go to at that point would be Ponoka or Red Deer City Hospital. So unfortunately, that does take a member out of our area during that time. I can say during those calls, there haven't been that many Form 10 apprehensions. When people are struggling with mental health, we find our communities are knowing who we are, they're knowing who the officers are, and they are engaging with us to the point that I've had people with mental health just call the detachment and want to speak to a member, to the point that they just want to go see a doctor and they don't have any resources to get there. And there's times that we've gone and helped them get to the hospital without its Form 10 apprehension having to be done on our part. We just want to make sure they get that access to that counseling, and if we can help them that, we certainly will. But I know at times this year we've definitely been extremely busy with mental health calls. So.
And I'll just make one comment on that too. I mean, mental health, I have, mental health, I must say I'm quite embarrassed on how, we as police officers, as RCMP, every police service in the country have dealt with mental health over the years. I've been in the RCMP for 29 years, and it's kind of embarrassing for me, and I must say that it's taken us this long to really understand what mental health is and the impact it has, and it's much more encompassing, in my opinion, than what we typically think mental health is. I mean, addictions, substance abuse, domestics, a lot of those issues that we think, oh, it's an assault. There's generally an underlying mental health issue that the person just isn't right, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's reality, and when I say it's embarrassing, that I've been to some calls where I've been to the same house 10 times, and every time we pick them up, we arrest them, we throw them in jail, and we prosecute them. When I look back at my career, I look back and see how many mental health issues were there that we missed. So I must say, recently as a district, and this isn't all doom and gloom, because we have learned and we are getting better from this. The province in the last go round of funding have provided mental health positions. Now we have one coming in Airdrie in our district, and it's not just for Airdrie, where our members are hooking up with Alberta Health together as a team to go into these residences where we have a call for service and maybe try and figure it out a different way than the traditional, let's throw them in jail and send them to the courts, because there's underlying issues that we've ignored in the past, and we're much better and we're aware of that. So now when it comes to your communities, this mental health team is just getting started now. Jamie and his team will be able to tie into that. So it'll be a team where we're connected with Alberta Health, with us together. You need to get all these agencies on the same page and buy into this concept. And that's what we're doing right now, and it's been quite successful to get Alberta Health, with us to create these teams to try and solve the issues in ways other than the traditional ways that we have in the past. So I do look forward to that. Mental health is a huge issue. I argue it's way bigger than we think it was, because addictions and all those different things is mental health. It's not a bad word. It's just that a person is not connected as they normally are, and if we dig into that issue deeper, we can solve the problem instead of going back to the same house over and over again. So good things, things are coming, and if you look at how policing is going to advance in the future, it's certainly going to be under the mental health side of the house.
And just to touch on that, I know those resources are coming, and eventually we're going to be there. But in the meantime, we are doing what we can with the resources that we do have to help those people. We have an incredible victim services unit at our detachment. Carolyn has been absolutely amazing, trying to help us work with mental health, as VSU is a referral-based agency. Just to touch base on that, with the mental health side, obviously with the increase of domestic violence that we've seen over the last year as well, the members just aren't going anymore and breaking up an argument and leaving. We're taking the time to engage with these individuals before things do get worse. We're spending more time with it. We're giving them referrals. We're giving them VSU to help us with that, to alleviate the members to get back out in the rural area. And we found that to be quite successful in the interim basis. We've noticed by just getting those referrals out for them at an argument stage, it's not escalating to an assault. It's not escalating to assault causing. We're finding we're able to do that to help out with domestic violence as well. So the ways of doing things in the past of just showing up, getting the scene clear and leaving, we are engaging more with those people to help them get the benefits they need to get them on the right path. Okay, so I have a question from, okay, you want to do that live one first? Jane, is it Jane, I think, that's waving the hand? Yeah.
It's actually Tim. And there's times that we see mental health issues within our community, and we don't seem to have a resource other than the RCMP. So we end up calling you. So we need more resources for mental health issues other than just the RCMP. And I wondered if there was something like that available.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, it's, mental health, we're just starting to get Alberta Health online with us. I mean, it's in order to solve this, we have to do it together, because every agency can help out in a different way to make the person's life better. I mean, I know when when I'm faced with severe stress, I'm not myself. And is that mental health? Absolutely. So it's getting people the help they need from each agency. So, we're at the start of this movement to fix it and get other agencies on board. The reality is there's not a lot of provincial funding available to give to RCMP and Alberta Health and all the different agencies to come together and create these positions. Is it needed? Absolutely. So we're kind of doing it off the backs the best we can with what we have. But I guess the part that I'm really, proud of the way we're going into this, we know that when we go to a call and someone needs help, it's probably not going to be us what they need. It may not be going to jail. It's not what we provide, but we know how to get them there. So through our victim services offices, they can get people the help they need in the right areas. So yes, victim services, they're a huge help to us. And in the smaller communities, until these mental health teams are in place, every detachment will have a victim services unit, and they have that access into these different programs and agencies to get the help they need. So I think we're doing a pretty good job. Is it a Band-Aid? Absolutely. But we need to get people, we are connected to those other agencies. through our victim services unit. So I encourage you to reach out if you need help. And I mean, our job is to get, it's not really, you know, to do what we traditionally do, is to get people help where that help is. And we realize it's probably not with our office, it's with other agencies.
Thank you. It's very exciting to see it going in this direction.
Yeah, and it's way overdue. Like I said, I'm embarrassed. I've been in 32 years and it's taken us this long to figure it out. Like really, it's kind of, I say it's embarrassing because, you know, this movement probably started 5, 6 years ago where we started, hey, let's look at this differently. And we are, and we're adjusting. And that's all police forces in the world. It's not just us. It's all agencies in the world that have realized mental health is a big, big issue. And it's not what we traditionally thought it was. It's everybody. I would argue everybody in this universe has had a mental health issue in their lifetime, and it needed help at one time. And it's not wrong to say I need help. So that's where we have to help out.
Wonderful. Thank you.
There's just one question there I see about provincial police, and I can probably talk about that as well. Where we are with the provincial police, the Alberta government have done a study. They've hired a company to do a study about provincial police. We have not seen that report. We've been asking, our commanding officer and our senior leadership have been asking for it. They haven't given it to us. The report has gone to another independent firm to check the numbers. The Minister of Justice did a tour a few months back, you know, talking about the provincial police. He was saying it was going to be a lot cheaper, and that's what I think this result is going to come out as. One thing I can say is that you know, on this tour, there was comments that, you know, the RCMP are not Albertans and we're not from Alberta, but, you know, I've been here for 32 years and I consider myself an Albertan. You know, we do recruit from your communities. We send the people to the best training academy in the world and we bring them back to Alberta. So, you know, we hope we're staying here. We love to be here. You know, our families are from Alberta. My children were born in Alberta. So, we'll see what happens, where that goes, but we are really in the dark on what that study says, and hopefully it comes out soon so the public can ask questions about it.
So I see one more question there. Do you know if Innisfail and Sylvan Lake detachments have a rural crime member? I don't know that. This is my 6th year being a detachment commander, and I think 5 of those 6 years, the #1 priority has been rural crime. And so this year we decided to create that position here to focus on rural crime. We know it's a priority. It's always been a priority for a very long time, and we're seeing success by doing that. What I'm hoping in return is going to attract experienced members in the RCMP that will want to transfer here, because we do move around, as you're aware. And each member has a goal, each member has areas that they'd like to go into and investigate. So I thought I would try and change this up and create these opportunities for members that have interest in those fields. And what I'm finding in return is that I'm getting a lot of success out of those members as they're working towards their goals and their career aspirations. So as far as the Innisfail thing goes, I don't know. I can't speak to that, or Sylvan Lake, unless Sir or Kevin, you know. I don't know. No, okay. So
No, Sylvan Lake and Innisfail are both in central Alberta district. They're just above us, the border. Three Hills is actually top of the border. Three Hills Olds for southern Alberta district. So once you cross the border, you're into a different district. And unfortunately, we simply don't have that information if they do have a member or not. Been some great questions and comments, so please keep them coming if you have any more from anybody.
So we'll finish with that unless I see any more comments pop up. I just want to thank everyone for taking, sorry? Oh, we have a question? Oh. Just bear with us here. I see something popping up. Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate it. I have received a lot of your comments come down my way for the Trochu. I'm absolutely overwhelmed with the support from all of my communities that we police. It's absolutely amazing, that type of support. Literally, if I need anything, any council, anywhere, you guys, everybody's always willing to chip in, and I can't explain to you how much that means to have that type of support for me and the members at the Three Hills Detachment. With saying that, I'd like to thank everybody tonight for joining this, taking time out of your schedules away from your family, to be engaged with us tonight. As Superintendent Sage said, this is a priority for us. We want to engage. I think for the most people in the communities that we police, they're aware, they see us. We sit on committees, and I really appreciate all the comments and the questions tonight for that. We are here, of course, if you need anything. Of course, the calls for service, as Staff Sergeant Charles said, you have to make those calls. You have to let us know those areas of concern. If we don't get those calls, it's hard for us to act. I know for policing, it's very frustrating. When we go in the next morning, there's a voicemail on the phone for a crime possibly in progress the night before. So we do, that's hard for us. We want you to phone. We want you to let us know. And with our phenomenal analysts that we have out of SAD Crew District, they put this stuff together for us. We're able to focus on key points. Members work with them to help us do our job better. And it's incredible the information they pass on to us to help us locate these individuals or prolific offenders. District, thank you very much for coming tonight. Oh, another question?
Just one last question there that came up. How do the stats work for us to get another member? So there's two real programs out there. There's the typical way we acquire provincial bodies, but there's also an enhanced program where some communities will pay extra to get more or less their own kind of Mountie to do specific roles. So if a community wants to get an extra member and they're willing to pay for it, there's a program where you can get that and pay for it and get that enhanced member. If it comes down to the general police under the PPSA, which is the police, the agreement in the province will determine how much money would come or how many extra positions would come to the RCMP. And then the RCMP, our senior leadership, would say, okay, where do those bodies go? We do run statistics across the country to see, across the province to see who is busier, I guess, than other. It's not just for calls for service, but it's the quality of calls and the type of calls. So there's a formula that's been created, and don't ask me what it is because I don't know it, but I know at the end of it a number pops out that rates all the detachments across Alberta based on how many members they have, and the number and the types of calls for service comes up, and it comes out with a rating, a number rating. So if the last go around 2 years ago, we were able to do that calculation and find out which communities needed bodies more than the other, not just based on the number of calls, but the quality, the violence, all those different things. So Three Hills wasn't on that list. A lot of these ones went to, the provincial detachments, the very, very busy ones. So in the south, I believe we got 6 or 7 positions for the south in our busier detachments. When I say busier, Cochrane detachment is one of our busiest. with the growth around the city and stuff like that. So we are watching, we're always watching to see this number of ward attachments fall and see if there's a need. Three Hills hasn't come up on that kind of priority matrix, but if the community wanted to get an enhanced position, that option's available to them.
With that, we'll finish tonight. Again, thank you for everybody for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for attending tonight. Thank you, sir, for showing up tonight, and Kevin. Thank you very much, Will, for helping me with this tonight. Couldn't done it without you. Thank you, Deb, as well, and Nehill County for allowing us to use this facility. And my own detachment, Councilor Vanderploeg and Stacy, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight, and greatly appreciate it. With that, oh, I see something. Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. With that, I wish you to have a good night.